Namaskar, hello and a very warm welcome to CIT NCRT's live phone and interactive program. My name is Tanvi Khurana and in this particular program of Sahyog, Guidance for Mental Well-Being of the Children, we are here and we are going to talk about listening, the essence of effective interpersonal communication. Well, we all know that there's a difference between listening and hearing. So what exactly is listening and how much attention do you need to listen to somebody? There's a lot of things that we need to understand regarding the essence of effective interpersonal communication, and that's the reason we are here today with this conversation. We have two experts with us. Let me please introduce to you Professor Kalpana Venugopal. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Namaskar, thank you.
Namaskar, ma'am. Ma'am is from Regional Institute of Education, Mysuru, NCRT, and along with her we have a practicing counselor. Please welcome Miss Pallavi Sharma. Welcome to you, ma'am.
Namaskar and welcome. Hello, all the viewers.
Namaskar, ma'am. So, if you have any conversation, any question to ask our viewers, ask our guests, then please give us to us, and you can ask your questions by calling us. The number is 8800440559. At this moment, you are watching us on PM eVidya channel number 6 to channel number 12 and also on our YouTube channel, which is NCERT Official. In the live chat box, you can write down your questions, your queries and share them with us. Well, till 5:30, our experts are going to be with us, so they'll be more than happy to answer all your doubts. Let's please begin this conversation, and my first question would be to Professor Venugopal. Ma'am, because we're talking about listening, would you please describe the definition of listening to all our viewers, and also why is it known as a skill?
Namaskar to all the viewers, students, teachers, adults, and thank you, Tanvi, for the question. Listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in the communication channel. If you look at the communication channel, listening is it is the very key for the communication channel. Normally, we have four skills of listening. Listening is the primary skill. You have speaking, reading, and writing, and all four of them help us to have a better interpersonal relationship with those around us. Without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood, misconstrued, and we have misconceptions about the messages that we hear. At times, we don't listen, though we are hearing to the person who's talking to us. Our ability to listen may be influenced by a number of factors. So, though the person who's talking feels that we are listening to them, we are actually not listening to them because of certain reasons. The reasons may be that we are distracted by our own thoughts, which disengages us from what is being said by that person. Some of the reasons why we don't listen properly, maybe as children largely, is because we are in our own thoughts. We are wrapped up in our own thoughts. For example, you may be watching this program now, but actually you may not be listening to it, because you're thinking of something else. You may be looking at the person and feel the person resembles somebody. So we are so wrapped up in our thoughts that we don't pay attention to what we are hearing. That is the difference between hearing and listening. We may be distracted with something that is around us. We probably also have our own formulated thoughts, our own formulated opinions, or we expect certain kinds of responses. So we wait to listen to that. We don't pay attention to the rest of it. That is what makes it difficult sometimes for us to listen to others. Listening is a skill, and you can improve upon this with practice. The more you practice, the more skilled listener you become. Since it is one of the four important skills of communication, you will realize that listening is the primary and the most important of all the three skills. Only when you listen carefully, you will be able to speak to others more sensibly and more meaningfully. That's why sometimes we are misunderstood, or we make misconceptions of others when we don't listen properly. Let us see just two simple basic types of listening. One is active listening. Active listening happens when we get an understanding of all that is heard, and we have a good interaction We seek for clarification and respond properly and appropriately to what is said. So when the person is speaking, when you don't understand something, you go back with questions, you listen. So there is an active listening process that is happening. And sometimes listening actively is fully concentrating on what is being said. You also give certain body language and cues to the person as a feedback. So the person is encouraged to talk to you more clearly. The next one is empathetic listening. This is a more emotional aspect of listening. So your body language and your signals in terms of the person, and that you show some way to the person that you're listening, makes the person to talk to you more with feeling. So you understand those feelings also. And when the person is talking to you with emotion and you're listening to that keenly, it results in giving solace to the speaker also. So these two kinds of listening are the types of listening that we normally use in our everyday life. So given all the listening that we do, you would think that we make very good listeners. It is not so. The problem is because we are very selective in our listening. We listen to only that part which we feel connected to, because either it could be because it works for us, or it could be that we are interested in it, or it is something that we've already formed an opinion about. The rest of the content we don't pay attention. That is why selective listening sometimes leads us into problems. But we can start developing this skill of listening because it is largely connected with interpersonal communication. Listening includes responding to the person who's speaking, either orally or through your body gestures and non-verbal cues. That is what you call as a feedback. This feedback loop is very, very important in listening. Sometimes the expression that you make makes the speaker understand that you didn't understand. So the speaker repeats it, tries to make it more simpler. That is the difference between listening and hearing. Listening resembles something like a muscle which requires training, persistence, effort, and most importantly, the intention to become a good listener. Hence, it's a skill which has to be practiced by all of us, especially children, because when you listen, you can respond better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for telling us what exactly is listening and how is it different from hearing. And now, because our topic is the essence of effective interpersonal communication, and you have told us that listening is a skill which needs practice. So how is it related to interpersonal communication? Why is it so important for our interpersonal communication?
Thank you. Listening is very important in our, because all forms of communication between us, with our friends, with our teachers, with our parents is interpersonal. It could be either we are taking instructions from them, or we are learning something from them, or they are trying to tell us about their own stories. You know, it could be about their incidences, their situations that happen during the day. So there are various situations where, so the talking that happens, the conversation that happens, the teaching that happens, the instruction that happens between individuals. That is why it is interpersonal communication. Now when you listen, remember I told you the difference between listening and hearing. So listen, when you're listening attentively, when you're paying attention and you're hearing it with a purpose, what happens over there in the communication? We understand the other person much better. It aids in our socialization. There are lesser or fewer chances of having a misunderstanding or having some misconceptions. We sympathize better, especially when our friends and our family are talking to us about some events which are painful to them. We are able to empathize with them. When our friends are able to share some very happy stories, our expressions will make them describe it better. So we sympathize, we empathize with them much better. We build stronger relationships by making people more valued when you're listening to them. We improve upon our problem solving skills. Many of our problems arise only because of our communication. So we are able to solve it when we listen very carefully, rather than choosing to listen only what we want to listen. Remember, I told you about selective listening. It's better to avoid selective listening. Avoiding selective listening comes with practice. We absorb information better as it enhances our concentration. Absorb information not only better, but it also helps us to have a selfless approach by putting the speaker first. So the speaker feels very important, the speaker feels very good, so the speaker is able to relate better with you. You gain a full and accurate understanding of the speaker's point of view and the ideas that are being given to you. The speaker could be a teacher, a parent, it could be your friend or a stranger. We respond effectively and build confident communication channels. For example, students with strong listening skills, they don't just retain more information, but they are also likely to feel unprepared and not, much lesser confused in the classroom. Improved listening skill leads to improved self-efficacy. What is this? This means that a student or a person who develops better listening skills is more likely to feel more confident, more comfortable, and prepared to be successful in life. So learning how to listen helps to communicate ideas more efficiently. Effective listening promotes mindful thinking. We think before we respond because we have heard the whole story or the whole content very carefully and attentively. This is very, very important for students. It can also help people build meaningful relationships because they engage themselves in conversations. Their peers are more likely to view them as open and interested individuals. And finally, practicing listening skills can promote empathy. It gives you more friends. It makes you more popular among your friends. You are a much heard of person. The teachers appreciate you. Your parents feel that you are somebody in the family who's paying attention to what is being said. You will feel much better as an individual when you are able to listen to others. That is why it is very important for our interpersonal communication.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. And now we have a clear picture of how is it so important for interpersonal communication. And like you said, if someone think before responding and no, the communication makes it more sense and it makes a beautiful conversation. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. We just like one of the points you said that listening needs training and perseverance. So for that, we would like to ask Pallavi ma'am here. Ma'am, would you like to give us more details regarding how to develop this particular skill of listening?
Yeah, sure, Tanvi. So, as Kalpana ma'am has explained it beautifully, that why it is important and what are listening skills and how they're important in interpersonal communication. So, the question comes is how to develop it, because now we have understood its importance. The first thing I would like to focus on the intent and the purpose of the conversation. That why you want to engage yourself in listening and what is its purpose. So, to be consciously and truly understanding the content, taking in fully what other person is saying, and as ma'am has said, empathizing with them, the person whom you are listening, the speaker, we incorporate mindfulness. As ma'am has said, what is mindfulness? Being mindful generally means being respectful and aware of the present moment. No daydreaming, no interrupting anyone, but simply comprehending the content and the purpose of the words that are said and the body language, the gestures. That way, the listener and the speaker build a authentic connection where listening plays a very important part. Example for how can we focus on the on the communication is we remove the physical distractions like TV, phones, or loud noise, being in the noisy place, and be in the present with no other thoughts in the mind. As ma'am has said, we are wrapped in our thoughts. So being present with no wrapping of thoughts, but being in the present moment, hearing what the person is saying. Also, not to interrupt. We should not interrupt while someone is speaking, being a good listener. Resist the urge to interrupt before the speaker is done for the moment. This is how we can develop the listening skills. Listening with empathy, ma'am has already explained that how we can listen with empathy, stepping into the shoes of the other person, emotionally connect with them and then understand. So this is how we can develop the listening skills. Repeat back, paraphrase what is heard so that you are sure that you heard right. Another point I would like to make is body language, very important. right? The postures, hand gestures, eye contact, verbal sounds like, when someone recites you any poem or any story or any event, you said, yes. So verbal sounds, and then nodding the heads, non-verbal gestures, facial expressions. So all these are very important. In fact, researchers tells us that communication is 55% non-verbal and 38% vocal and 7% words. So sometimes we may subconsciously, mirror the speaker. Like if I'm talking to you with the hand gestures and smiling, you smile back and you repeat the same gesture. So this is how we can, develop by mirroring other person, like sitting cross legs. If the person is sitting in cross legs, so it shows that you are listening actively, as ma'am has explained what is active listening. Also, we should not judge or evaluate anyone. For example, if someone wants to tell you, for example, that I am being walking on the road and I got hurt while going back, so you just are wrapped up in your thoughts, like, he's so careless, he always daydreams, and you try to make your judgments. But if you notice that you are losing the track of the conversation, just push these judgmental thoughts away, and then just ask the person to repeat it. Like, can you please repeat? Don't pretend to be listening, right? Do not impose your ideas or the conversations. Like if someone is improving on the art assignment, and they ask the idea that can I paint the trees with the bright green? Then if you have an urge to tell, just tell it the way that will it be possible or will it look good if we paint it with the shading of yellow and green, or simply putting the maple leaves, which are the fall leaves, rust color, so make it more bright. So listening, someone's is developing idea of framing the question and not imposing the solutions, with asking meaningful questions, right? So that's how listening is very, very important, and this is how we can, develop. Most important, lastly, I would like to tell is reflect. When you finish a conversation, reflect on your listening and think about missed opportunities, the opportunities that you missed in listening, or you ignored some potential important points or leads. Then just ask yourself, what did you gain? What did you understood? So reflect back and discuss it with your parents, teachers, colleagues, friends, and you feel good about, see how you have listened it. Are you an active listener? Are you a passive listener? Or you have selected listening skills. So how to reduce selective listening and developing the active listening skills. So this is how we can develop.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. These are some wonderful tips, and not everyone develops this skill so smoothly. So people take time, and the tips you just gave are, I'm sure, going to be very, very helpful for all our viewers. But ma'am, every skill has some or the other challenges or some or the other barriers. Would you like to tell us what are the barriers in this particular skill called listening?
Yeah, so would like to quote only few of the barriers. One common problem is that instead of listening closely to what someone is saying, we are often get distracted with our sentences or the physical noises or our thoughts. So as I said, push away these thoughts and put forward your views and finish the conversation. So when we miss out on the listening skills, we tend to wrap up with our thoughts. And why do we wrap up with our thoughts? Why we are engaged in our thoughts is because of one fact, that when a speaker speaks, the rate of speaking is 125 and 175 words per minute. Whereas when we process it in our brain, it is 400 to 800 words we can process in a minute. So we have a time gap of so many minutes in between, where we tend to engage ourselves in different thoughts or different distractions. We engage ourselves in that because of the time gap that we have, right? So to reduce that time gap, actively listening, we should develop that skill. So this is the barrier that we generally have. Sometimes the clarity with the speaker, the speaker that speaks has a different accent, or they speak very fast, so we are not able to take in. Like in India, there is a British accent generally spoken, but if we are having someone with a British, not non-British accent, and American accent with very fast pace, then it will be difficult. So these are few of the barriers that are always present when we are developing the listening skills, and we should overcome these barriers with the things that I have discussed, how to develop them. So we can definitely build up this muscle, as Kalpana ma'am said, and we can improve our interpersonal communication skills.
Absolutely, ma'am. We can always overcome these barriers and improve our listening skills. Thank you so much, Pallavi ma'am. Thank you so much, Professor Venugopal, for being with us, for telling us what exactly is listening, how is it so important for interpersonal communication, and how to develop this skill. If anyone is lacking in any part of this skill, then there are certain tips that Pallavi ma'am just gave. So thank you so much, both of you, for being with us, for giving us your time, and for being a part of this program. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I would like to thank our viewers too for being with us, for being a participant in this program, and I really hope that you enjoyed listening and watching this entire program. So if you have any feedback, any comments, any compliments for us, then please give it on our email ID, which is sahyog.ncrt@ciet.nic.in. Here we are wrapping this particular program, and this was all about listening, the essence of effective interpersonal communication. And I hope you have learned a lot from this entire conversation. So we are wrapping up this program and our programs for today, but tomorrow we'll come back again with more programs on more subjects, on more topics. Till then, please take great care of yourself and stay happy and stay healthy. Namaskar.